to the Royal St. Cloud Academy of Golf. My name is Jim Endicott and I'm the Director of Instruction here. Today we're going to discuss the full swing. To understand what we need to do in the full swing, first we need to understand the purpose of the full swing. We have the full swing in order to get the club to meet the back of the ball with the correct impact. How we go about that does not matter, provided we can repeat it. Now, what is the correct impact? Well, the correct impact has three ingredients, one of which is what direction is the club face when it meets the ball. The other item is the swing path, and that relates to what direction the club is traveling. And the third item is at what level to the ground is the club when it meets the ball. Is it working downward or is it working upward? Ideally, we like it to work through the back of the ball, and this is called an angle of approach. Let's talk about the club face. How does it influence the flight? Well, if the club face is incorrect, club face could look to the right or to the left. To the right, this will make the golf ball go off to the right. If I were to arrive with the club looking to the left, this golf ball would go off to the left. If I can get it correct, the ball will fly in the proper direction. More specifically, it will not curve. In other words, it will fly straight in the air. If it's wrong, the ball will curve in the air. The next ingredient is the direction I swing the golf club. To understand the direction of swing, or what we'll call the swing path, I need to understand a few items. One, the target line. This is a line here that's represented by that white line that goes out to my intended target. There's two areas relative to that line. There's the area in which I stand, which we will call the inside. There's the area on this side, opposite where I stand, which is the outside. And the correct direction of swing travels on an arc from the inside, straight through the ball, coming back to the inside. If I am able to do this, this ball will begin its flight in the proper direction. If I'm not able to achieve the correct swing path, I can only err in one of two directions. One way would be to swing from the inside over here to the outside. This would send the ball off to the right. The other direction I could swing would be from the outside to the inside here. And that in turn would turn the golf ball to the left. So the swing path, what we're looking for, is a swing path that travels from the inside, straight through the ball, and then back again to the inside. Now if we can get the ball on target, we now have to have the proper trajectory, or we'll call it contact, and that comes from the angle of approach. You see, we play a game here whereby the ball is down here on the ground. Therefore, the club must swing up, it must swing down, and it must swing back up. What we'd like to have is the bottom of the swing to occur where the ball is. Well, if I don't achieve that, I could err in one of two ways. I could hit the ground before the ball, and you would find that the golf ball is actually, or the club is actually traveling upwards as it meets the ball. I could have the swing bottom out too late, and you would find that that golf club is working downward as it gets to the ball. We're playing a game by which I want to drive the ball forward, so I need to have the club traveling through the back of the ball, relatively level to the ground. Now that we understand what controls the ball in terms of what the club is doing as it meets the back of the ball, we now need to understand what we do to control those facets of impact. Well, first of all, we have to stand to the golf ball in a proper setup. And the proper setup includes how we hold the club, how we aim the golf club, how we stand or position ourselves to the club, and in what posture I stand in. Let's first talk about the grip. The grip is the only connection between our body and the club. The grip controls the club face. If I have it on properly, I have a chance to arrive the club face correct to the back of the ball. Now, there's been any number of grips in the game of golf. There's been grips where the hands are around this way. There's been grips where the hands more around this way, where they oppose each other a bit. The grip that you use in your game will be your grip. And that's to get the club face to arrive correct. But let's describe in brief how we put our hands on the golf club. Being a right-handed golfer, I would take my left hand first to the club, starting off with the leading edge of the club here, pointed straight up as if it were pointing at 12 o'clock on a clock. I would then take the left hand and I would set it just about where the fingers join the palm. Curling the fingers underneath, this pad of the hand here will rest on top of the grip. And I would lay the thumb just off to the side of the shaft, and you'll find that there's a line formed between my thumb and index finger, and this is going to point somewhere on the right side of my face. The right hand, this one's going to set very much in the fingers, and the fingers are underneath the golf club. And this lifeline here of the right hand, we're going to rest that upon the thumb of the left hand. And you'll see again that there's a line formed between the thumb and index finger, and it points in the same direction, somewhere off here to the right side of my face. What I'm describing is a neutral grip we would start out a new golfer with. Back here you have some choices to make. You can place all 10 fingers on the golf club. This is a wonderful grip for the ladies, for the youth as they start the game. You can set the fingers on the golf club this way, where the little finger is overlapping the index finger. It's called the Varden grip. Many players play with this. Or you can interlock them this way. Which way you do it there doesn't matter. What we're going to find is, what positioning do we have the hands on the club? I know that if I place my hands on the golf club where these lines that I described point just here at my right ear, that gets me to arrive the club back to square. Now notice if I were to take my hands and move them around here, now that line is pointed more towards my right shoulder. Keeping in mind that my hands like to return to this position here at impact. And from there you can see that the club face is now closed and looking to the left. Wouldn't be the correct grip for me, might be for you. Going from my neutral position that works for me, if I were to move my hands around here, where now the line here is pointed more directly at my chin, you would find that my hands again want to return to this position. And can you see now that club is off to the right? Not the right grip for me, might be for you. So what we want to do is, if your ball is curving to the right, we'll know that the club face is looking to the right. That means we need to move our hands around here to the right to get it back to square. Conversely, if your ball is curving off here to the left, we now know that the club face is looking to the left. So I take my hands from where they are and move them where those V's are a bit more to the left, helping me to get the club face to arrive square. So now if we have control of the club face, we now need to control the path, the swing path. And in order to control the swing path, first of all we need to aim the golf club in the proper direction. Aiming this club would mean that the bottom edge, this bottom edge here, not the top one, we'll talk more about that later, but this bottom edge, we need to set it down on the ground perpendicular to our target line. And when we do that, we'd like to set it down with the proper loft. This would be too little loft, this would be adding loft. So it's on proper loft, bottom edge perpendicular to the target line. Once I've done that, represented by this line here and the target line, the club is on target, proper loft, I now have a place to stand. I stand myself across from the handle of the club, which is going to point somewhere here in the middle of my body. So the club is on target, perpendicular to the target line. I position myself with my feet, knees, hips, and most importantly my shoulders are perpendicular to the club. Setting myself perpendicular to the club would then establish that my shoulders are parallel to my target line. So the correct aim is bottom edge perpendicular to the target line. I stand perpendicular to the club, setting my feet, knees, hips, and shoulders, most importantly, parallel to my target line. From here, I have a proper aim and stance I then only need to have the correct posture. The correct posture is what we use to control that angle of approach, keeping in mind that the club has to swing up in the backswing and back down to the ball. The correct posture would sound like this: a slight flex of the knees, a bending from my hips. We don't want to bend from the waist. This would round me over this way here. A flex of the knees, a bending from the hips. My back would be fairly straight and tall, my chin up and off of my chest. From here, I have an opportunity to produce the two motions of the golf swing that I need to get impact correct. Again, the ball is going to tell me what I need to do. You see, the ball is to the side of me, and because the ball is to the side of me, we have to have the club traveling on an arc around us. And notice as I do that, my body is rotating in the backswing and the through swing. So one motion of the golf swing, or we might call it one motor of the golf swing, is to have the body turning side to side, because it's a game that's side on. The ball's down there on the ground, or perhaps a short tee. And because of that, the club has to swing up and down. This is accomplished by our arm swing. So we have a body motion or motor, and we have an arm motor, the arm swinging up and down to reach the bottom of the ball. Let's put that together. So now that we've learned how to stand to the golf ball with the proper posture and the correct grip, we now need to understand how the golf swing happens. The ball is going to tell us this as well. You see, the ball is to the side of me, and because it's to the side of me, the club has to swing on that arc we described earlier from the inside, straight through the ball, coming back into the inside. So the arc is inside to inside, and notice as I'm showing you that my body is rotating this way and through. So one motor of the golf swing is the body turning side to side. That in and of itself puts the club on the inside path. The next ingredient is the ball's on the ground. Therefore, I must swing the club up and down to meet the ground, or the bottom of the golf ball. The arms take care of swinging the club up and down. So let's put these two things together. We have a body motion or body motor and an arm motor. They sound like this together. From the proper setup, I simply move my right shoulder out of the way by turning it in the backswing. And as you would see from that motion, the club has now worked to the inside. As I turn that shoulder, I allow the club to swing up and over the shoulder. Turning the shoulder out of the way, the club swings up and over the shoulder, and you'll see that this golf club is in the right plane over my shoulder, and the club now is pointed in the right direction. And the correct direction would be that the shaft of the club is parallel to my target line. So right shoulder turn, swing the club up over the shoulder, aiming it at the top of the backswing. From there, the arms and club will return to the ground or to the ball. As they return to the ball, I turn my body to face the target, sending the ball out there. We would describe the golf swing in its simplest of terms as two turns of the body with a swing of the arms in the middle. So from the correct setup, grip, aim, stance, and posture, turn the right shoulder out of the way. As I swing the club down, I let the body turn through. And so we've talked about the motors of the golf swing being the body and the arm swing. We have those ingredients, and the body action is for two reasons. As I mentioned earlier, the ball's to the side of me. And because it's to the side of me, we had to turn our body back and through. Also like to look at it from the perspective of what it does for the arms in the golf swing. You see, the body turns in the backswing and the through swing to give us room to allow the arms to swing up and down. Let's look at that. We mentioned that the golf swing needed to move to the inside and up. Therefore, I need to make room up in this area by turning the shoulder out of the way. We also mentioned that the club needs to be swinging down to the ball from the inside. And by swinging down from the inside, you can see I have enough room right now to begin that action. However, if I stayed right here, the hips are now in the way and I wouldn't have a place for the club to go. So in the downswing, I'd have to have the hips begin to rotate, giving me a place to swing the arms and club back to the inside. And so we turn the shoulder to make room in the backswing. We turn the hips in the downswing to give us room on this side. As I go through that shot and I get to this point here, the hips are out of the way, but now I need room up here at the top. So I have to have the shoulders rotate on through. So again, in its simplest of terms, the golf swing is 2 turns of the body with a swinging of the arms in the middle. You see, we get in trouble in this game when we don't utilize the body and arm action in the right sequence of events. You see, I could make the perfect room in the backswing by turning the shoulder in the backswing. Club is on plane and aimed in the proper direction. But if I fail to make room in the through swing, you'll see that the arms run into the body, and that would send the club off to the right, an in to out golf swing. There are those of us who play this game that fail to make enough room in the backswing. So we don't turn that shoulder and the club climbs up here. And now you can see that that club is pointed in the wrong direction. That is pointed to the left, which sets me up to swing this club down to the left. I haven't made enough room to the inside here. I did fine on this side. There are those of us who play this game where we make the room in the backswing and we make the room in the downswing, but we fail to use the club in the right time. There are those of us who don't make enough room in the backswing. We tilt this way here and then we rock this way here. That's a golf swing that's too straight. Perhaps you've been told that the club should travel straight back and straight through. Keep in mind, we're to the side. There has to be an arc to this golf swing. We turn the right shoulder in the backswing, the arms swing up. I swing them down as I turn through. Well, that concludes our discussion on the full swing. This is a wonderful game, and all too often we make it more difficult than it truly is. Remember, in order to control your golf ball, you need to arrive the club to the back of the ball with 3 ingredients correctly. The face looking in the proper direction, swinging in the correct direction, and at the right level to the ground. In order to control that, we have to stand to the golf ball correctly with the correct grip, proper aim of the club, in the proper stance, and the correct posture. From there, we simply need to turn the body back and through and swing the arms up and down. There's 2 motions there. Body side to side, arms up and down. Try to keep this game as simple as possible, and I know that by putting some of this to practice, you'll play better golf and continue enjoying this game.